Good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about the candidates running for office to represent you. My name is Kim Gammond, and I am the Executive Director for the City Club of Central Oregon. If you'd like more information about this candidate forum or any of our other forums, please visit us at cityclubco.org. We are a passionately nonpartisan organization that is here to inform the voters through these forums. All candidates were invited to participate in this forum and given instructions about guidelines and codes of conduct. At City Club, our mission is to build a conscious and civic-minded community that results in responsible civic engagement. We do this through community forums, utilizing the tools of civility to promote productive and sane conversation. You can learn more at cityclubco.org.
Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Schauffler from Central Oregon Daily News. My pleasure to moderate the 2022 Crook County Commission Position 2 Forum. And today we have challenger Corey Whalen. Unfortunately, Doug Muck Jr. was unable to join us. Brian Barney had all along planned, who's the sitting commissioner, was planned not to be part of this forum. So we're a one-person show today. In this race, if one candidate gets more than 50% of the votes cast, they will be elected. If nobody hits that 50% mark, the top two will face each other in November. We're going to start with opening statements. We'll have 90-second responses from each candidate to predetermined questions, and then closing remarks as well from Corey, because he is each candidate. So Corey, we start with you, your opening remarks, and 1 minute, and we can roll that timer.
Great, thank you so much. Well, I wanted to thank Kim, Alan, and Scott and Connect Central Oregon for hosting this for us and allowing us to introduce ourselves. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Corey Whalen, and I'm running for Crook County Commissioner. I believe that there is success in our community through strong communication, absolute transparency, and wholesome integrity. I want to work hard for Crook County to ensure the long life of the community and its values. I want to ensure that the information dispensed is accurate and easily available. I want our community representatives to be held accountable for what they do with our trust. I believe I have the experience, integrity, and motivation to accomplish this and much more. Thank you for your time.
Well said. First question. If you had been elected to this position during the height of the COVID-19 response and the subsequent restrictions, what would you have done differently, or what would you have done the same as the current commission? 90 seconds.
Well, I believe people in power during that time had a lot of tough choices to make. My wife has a comorbidity with asthma, so my decision hits a little closer to home than most. I believe that the power of choice is ultimate, and I don't believe that strong enforcement of certain, mandates are wholly necessary if the information is accurate and dispensed to the community, so people can make decisions on their own. I believe that what we dealt with during the COVID crisis was a lack of a sound informational disbursement to our nation, and I believe that it caused a lot of strife and a lot of frustration and a lack of understanding of what truly was going on. So I guess to answer your question, what I think I would have done differently was make sure that the information was accurate and easily digestible by our community so they can make a choice for themselves and for their family that best suited them.
Next question, different subject. How can Crook County help reduce wildfire risk to the community?
Well, the stewardship of the land in Crook County is a big part of being able to reduce wildfires. Being able to have farmland and ranch land that is maintained by the owners and or the lessees definitely helps keep wild brush down. It allows for people who are accessing that land to see what's going on with that land. What can Crook County do? Encourage the stewardship of the land that already exists, maintain our values, and maintain that we are of the land people. Yeah.
Next question is, what are your thoughts on the Lemon Gulch Trail proposal? 90 seconds.
Great. The Lemon Gulch Trail proposal, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I can see both sides pretty clearly. I understand that the public lands are wanting to be used by many different types of people, and I encourage the use of our public lands. The arguments, how I understand them, are the folks who are against Lemon Gulch feel as if they've been shortchanged as far as being included in the decision-making of Lemon Gulch development. The pro side of Lemon Gulch, they want to use the public lands for what they want to use the public lands for, and they don't see an issue, as far as I understand, with being able to use said public lands. So where I stand personally, for me, it's the public's decision on what they want to do with those lands. If the money that the public and the community is getting from the leasees is greater than the money that they feel that they'll get from the mountain bikers traveling through, or even just being here in Prineville, then that's what the community wants, and that's what the community should be able to choose to do.
Next topic, housing. How can the county help increase workforce housing?
How can the county increase workforce housing? That's a tough question. I believe that having an option for low-income housing is a good way to make sure that the people who live in Prineville can continue to work in Prineville and not have to seek jobs outside of this county. Encouraging higher wages, encouraging better communication for those businesses that need to seek employees, and being more visible within the community is the way that I see us being able to maintain the longevity of our community. I have noted that on the highway in between Redmond and Prineville that there are a couple of billboards that are advertising PrinevilleJobs.com, I believe is what it is, that encourages us to maintain our workforce within the community. And I believe that's a great step forward, and it's a good opportunity for those who don't want to travel to work in the community. I think that, coupled with a higher base pay and higher benefits, is a good way to keep people within our community.
In 2022, the County Commission's top priorities are the construction of a new criminal justice center, collecting feedback on a secondary access to Juniper Canyon, and road maintenance. Do you agree with those three priorities?
I believe the Justice Center is it's something that the community needs, but I believe that it was sold to us as something different than it became. So I have a hard time saying that that's a priority, because myself, as a constituent of Crook County, I didn't understand it as saving or creating the Justice Center. I understood it as saving the courthouse, and that's kind of how it was sold to us. So I'm having a hard time supporting that fully at this point. As far as a second entrance into Juniper Canyon, I think that's a great option. I think that in case of wildfires, I think that would be the safest route for the constituents out there. And road maintenance, I think, is always anything infrastructure at this point is a pretty positive play for our taxes. So I encourage those last two. I have a harder time with the Justice Center. Alan, I think you're muted.
Yeah, is there, let's talk about transparency in government. Is there enough transparency? Is there enough access for people in the community to see and participate in what their local government is doing?
Yes and no. I spent about 2.5 hours last week on the budget for Crook County, and tried to find specific information that I could not find. I've also done a records request through Crook County and the administration there for some specific items that I was not able to get information for. So there is some information there. The information I was looking for was not available to me. I've also done research with the counties, other counties in Central Oregon, and I really like Deschutes County's model with how they disperse information with their quarterly newsletter. They've got the major points of where their money is going, and then links to deeper information for those who want to know more. I believe that along the notes of transparency, the court sessions that we hold every month, they used to be Zoomed or Skyped during the COVID session, and that went away. And I don't understand why that went away as opposed to continuing, because that allowed a lot more people who work during the court time to be participating. The fact that we don't then post after the fact those same court meetings so people can view them after work is kind of a disservice to our community, and I think that we're behind in the times in Crook County.
Crook County, like so much of Central and Eastern Oregon, facing serious drought conditions again this year. How can the county help manage and support those impacted by this crisis?
Encouraging conservation, encouraging our community to maybe not try and take 4 cuttings of grass a year. I know that's a livelihood thing, and that's a hard pill to swallow. It's hard to tell somebody that they can't make what they are set up to make. But conservation of our water is a big thing. With Facebook on the Hill, and I know that they take quite a bit of water, but I also know on the other side of that coin is they've got they treat the water 7 times before they release it, so they're getting 7 times the usage on the water they are taking. And I know their next buildings that they are building, I think they've got 4 more that they're putting up there. They are not planning on having those water cooled. So the corporation that is seen as so many negatives in this community, they seem to be making changes in the positive. So as commissioner, or as the county, encourage conservation. That's the biggest thing that I can talk to.
Do you consider Crook County a welcoming community?
I do. I think that it takes a specific type of person to be welcomed within this community, but that specific type of person is generally hardworking, nose to the grindstone, wants to be a part of the community. So as long as you can demonstrate that you'll be an asset, I believe that you are welcomed. I came from, let's see, I've been in Wyoming, I've been in Montana, I came from Portland most recently, and then I was in Sisters and Redmond. And I felt nothing but welcomed here. But I also, I work really hard for what I do. I am very much a part of this community and how they treat their land. And I really enjoy seeing stewardship of what we have here in the high desert. And it's, like I said, it takes a certain breed to be welcomed or feel welcomed. And it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
A broad question: if you were elected, what basic change would you like to see? Or
Basic
changes?
Change. Well, I think getting more technologically advanced with how our community disperses information, that to me would be pretty basic. Like I touched on before, having court sessions that are streamed live and then recorded and placed on our website, so constituents can see what happened that day and they actually understand what's going on within these court sessions. Getting our community more engaged with voting. I think that's a hard point for me as far as my desire for our community. I'm not 100% on the numbers, but I think we had 24% Democrats voted in the last primary, and we had 19% Republicans vote in the last primary. For a state that makes it really easy for us to vote, I think it's a disservice to the community to not get out and at least have your voice heard. Make sure that you fill out the ballot and get it back, because we make it easy here in Oregon in order to be good Americans and vote. So I'd like to see more participation from our community. I'd like to see our voting numbers go up, and I'd like to see more people engaged.
That leads us right to our next question. How can our rural communities have a larger voice at the state level?
Well, I think having this extra district is going to do, it's going to be a step in the right direction. I believe that not being focused on urban development would be another step in the direction of being heard more in rural America or rural Oregon, and making sure that we speak up when we feel downtrodden upon. And I don't think that we have a problem with that, but it's being heard or being taken seriously, because our votes feel like less than those within a city. And I can understand the frustration from rural Oregonians who feel like their voice isn't being heard. Like I touched on before, being a rural American or a rural Oregonian is not a choice that everybody wants to make. It's a harder life from my perspective. I've lived in a city and I've lived in rural parts of the United States, and it's a different speed at which you live in a rural area. Everything moves a little bit slower, but it's also a lot more meticulous. You're looking at next steps. You're looking at, well, spring's coming up, so I got to plant, or fall's coming up, so I've got to harvest firewood. It's a different way of living, and I think being able to communicate what we want in a positive way is a good way to get us more on the state level.
Tell me what positive and negative changes you've seen in the community since you moved here.
The negative changes I've seen have been this great chasm, this great divide between political parties and friends and neighbors. That has been the hardest pill for me to swallow. As somebody who rides more center line in politics, who can try and see the arguments in both sides and try to understand arguments in both sides, the lack of understanding has been really hard for me to swallow. The positives I've seen in this community are we still come together when we are in need. I live out on a farm here east of Prineville, and this winter, seeing tractors out there plowing roads. You drive through town, you see their farmers on their tractors plowing roads. I think that's even with all the political turmoil, that's still going on. So I really enjoy seeing how we take care of each other, even though there is a divide going on at this point.
I'm going to paraphrase this question because it doesn't fit with the fact that we have none of your opponents here. Anything that's been said, any positions that the two people you're running against have taken that you disagree with, that you'd like to highlight now?
The projects that are touted by the current incumbent of Crook County's commissioner position, I have a hard time swallowing that pill as far as being a success. Knowing a little bit of the accounting side of it, knowing a little bit of how it's hitting our books, seeing the jail not fully thought through as far as staffing goes, that to me is not a success. Having to take out a loan in order to pay for staffing for the jail is not really a success in my mind. And I know that's being touted as a success. I think that the stance of the current commissioner as far as the Justice Center, him wanting to see that through, it feels a lot like the jail. It hasn't been fully thought through. There isn't a proposed budget for running the Justice Center. I haven't seen anything as far as staffing. We are paid, or our judges are paid through the state, but all the staffing for those judges have to be paid by the county. And I don't know because I haven't seen it, if that's been thought of. And that lack of transparency isn't setting that project up for success either.
We've come to the end. You have 2 minutes for a closing statement. You don't need to take that whole time, but if you want to, you certainly can.
Great. Well, in closing, I want to serve our community by facilitating and developing avenues that expand our communication and encourage growth and understanding through transparency and integrity. I want my hard work and experience to help our county remain community-centered on remain a community centered on values that will allow for a space to thrive and endure through generations. I believe that my skills and abilities will allow our county to be better engaged through updated, modern means such as social media and a more effective use of our current community platform. Our story does not need to reflect what we are seeing portrayed in the media. We do not need to live in a black and white world. We can communicate better and listen to one another to find areas where we ultimately want to live as a happy, healthy, prosperous, proud community. Thank you for your time today, and I thank you for considering the future of the community with this upcoming election.
Corey Whalen, thank you so much. Thanks to all the candidates. We wish Mr. Barney and Mr. Muck could have joined us for this today. As a reminder to everybody out there watching, make sure that you use the power of your vote. Cast your ballot by May 17th. I'm Alan Schauffler, and for everybody at Central Oregon Daily News, thank you for involving us in this process. On behalf of the candidates, the City Club of Central Oregon, and Connect Central Oregon, thanks so much for tuning in.